How's it going, guys? My name is Tavarish, and today I'm going to be unveiling the car that I'm using for the $1,500 rear-wheel drive challenge with B is for Build. And oh yeah. Well, how do you like it? Here she is. This is a 1996 Ford Mustang GT convertible. Now, this isn't just any Ford Mustang GT convertible. This is the cheapest one, likely in the country, that is running and doesn't have any accidents, no salvage title, nothing like that. This is the real deal. It's a V8, has a 4.6 liter, 8-cylinder monster of an engine. Well, okay, not a monster, but you know, it gets the job done. Has around 215 horsepower, which is not all that great, but it has 285 foot-pounds of torque, and that will get down and boogie. So this car is, well, it has had a bit of a life behind it before I got it. It has 180,000 miles on the odometer, and I'm not sure if those are accurate because the speedometer currently doesn't work. But it does run and drive. It runs and drives very, very well. I did drive it yesterday. I just got here. I'm in a garage at my friend's place, my friend Danny's place in Arizona, in Phoenix. I did a shakedown run last night, and everything is, well, it's not perfect, but it's good enough. Everything is really good on this car. Everything is solid. The car makes the right noises. The car handles like a Mustang would from the mid-90s. But instead of me just going on about this car, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the challenge ahead. So if you're just tuning in and you're wondering why it is I'm talking over this Mustang and I'm telling you about a challenge and without really any context, you might want to check out the video right here. If you don't want to check out the video, I'll give you a 30-second update. So I'm challenging a YouTube channel called B is for Build. He does really good work. It's a guy named Chris that's leading it. And we're doing a rear-wheel drive challenge. The rules are it's $1,500, has to be rear-wheel drive. He's going to use Copart. Copart is like a hub of salvage title vehicles, crashed vehicles, vehicles that don't start, need a little work, stuff like that. I'm using Craigslist. This car was actually on eBay, but it was also on Craigslist, so technically I can use this car. Now, this one was by far one of the, if not the cheapest Mustangs available at the time. This was, wait for it, $1,075. That's right. I got a running driving example. Doesn't smoke. It doesn't have any real egregious issues. It doesn't leak anything. It is a very solid car. It has been neglected. You can see some clear coat peeling right here. This is cosmetic issues. I don't really care about that. I want this drivetrain. I want the 5-speed. I want the limited slip differential, and it does have a limited slip. Yeah, this is the real deal. I know Chris has a G35. G35s are nice, but I think with some mods, this can be even better. So I know you guys are now going to ask, what is the plan exactly? The plan is going to be this car will have a theme. That theme is a budget street racer. And this is going to be a quarter-mile or a stoplight to stoplight racer. This has to be ready for the street. It's not going to be an apocalypse build. It's not going to be something where I can't sell this, because that's the sort of goal of this whole challenge, to see if we can actually sell these cars in the end. I don't think Chris is going to have a problem selling his car, but I want to get every last penny I can out of this car. And these cars are actually going up in value just a little bit. These are the SN95. These are the 94 to 98 Mustangs. And this particular is 96 through 98, because the 94s and 95s had the 5-liter from the Fox body, and this had the 4.6 liter, the modular V8 from what's basically a Crown Vic. So there is a very, very reliable engine in here. It's never going to die. Has about 200,000 miles on it, but it runs like it's new. I want to make sure that this goes to a person that loves to do stoplight to stoplight racing, that can take it to the strip, take it to the drag strip, and it will be a performance machine. It will be something that they can be proud of, and also we'll have a little bit of fun with it and hopefully win some challenges. But the game plan for today is we're going to fix all the little issues that are going to make this thing run perfectly. One of them is a speedometer. So the speedometer in this car does not work. You can go as fast as you want, the speedometer just stays at 0. I suspect that it's a vehicle speed sensor, so we are going to fix that. There are a few other odds and ends. I know that the brake pedal and clutch pedal, they don't actually have any pads, and that isn't ideal considering that it's just basically flattened metal, and your foot can slip off, and the clutch in this is very tough. It's a very tight clutch. It's a very firm clutch. It's a lot firmer than I would expect on something like this that's kind of known for being a big lazy V8. So we have to do that. I'm also going to go around the car and fix a few odds and ends there. But today is just going to make the car. Today is going to be about making the car 100% fighting fit. The next episode is going to be about making the car faster. And then the next episode after that, it's going to be the aesthetic mods. And then maybe we'll do an episode about finishing touches. And then will be the challenge itself. And I am really excited. The only thing I'm not really excited about is the fact that I have to do this in about 2 days. I have 2 days, and I know Chris had 3 days. I have like 2.5 until I have to drive. It's a 6-hour drive to LA from here. And I have no idea if this is going to make it. I think it should, but you know, fingers crossed as always. So without further ado, let's get to work. All right, now that I got all 4 wheels in the air, both sides have to be up, I am going to just test out if the speedometer is working, maybe intermittently, maybe I was just mistaken when I saw that it wasn't working. This needs a proper experiment and a test. This will also give me an excuse to let you guys hear how awesome this engine sounds. Ready? Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Oh, that is nasty. Oh. Oh yeah, that'll wake you up. So theoretically, if I put it in gear and just let off the accelerator, yep, I got nothing. It's driving. Yep, nothing. All right, we got to replace that vehicle speed sensor. All right, I am coming to you live from underneath the car. Yeah, it's really hard to see down here, but the vehicle speed sensor is right on the side of the transmission. Let's see if I can zoom in. It's like right there. That is it right there, that grainy thing, since there is really no light down here. It is held on by a 8mm or a 10mm bolt. I'm not sure which one. I'm going to find out. After that, the old one slides out and I can put in the new one. All right, new vehicle speed sensor is in. Let's try it. It's in gear. All right, maybe the problem lies elsewhere. Yeah, it's not exactly the result I wanted. So, I mean, there still could be an issue with the cluster itself, but it might be a fuse. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull some fuses. There's actually no fuse diagram in the car. Actually, there might be in the owner's manual, but whatever. I'm just going to start pulling fuses and see which ones are blown. And yeah, that should, if any of them are blown, then it should fix some problems by restoring them, or at least let me know what the problem is. So let's get to that. Too much, now I'm swallowed. Now I'm the fool while you're breaking rules. Dangerous path that I follow. Okay, none of those fuses were bad, so maybe the problem is the cluster itself. At this point, I'm not sure what the problem could be, but maybe there's just a broken contact or something not connected. So I'm just going to take out these 2 bolts, pull this trim piece, and then take out the cluster and just see what we have back there. If that doesn't work, then I'm just going to have to use a GPS speedometer because the problem lies elsewhere, and I just don't have the kind of time to devote to this issue. Yeah, I'm not really seeing what the problem is. I took out the cluster and there doesn't seem to be any shorted out circuits in the back. It doesn't seem to have any egregious issues, just not on the outset. Everything looks to be fine. So maybe the problem is mechanical. It might be the gear itself on the vehicle speed sensor, or rather than the transmission side. It might be on the transmission instead of the vehicle speed sensor, since that's new. I did find a lot of this. I have no idea what this wiring does. It's just a lot of weird wiring. It seems to be, this is a power plug for something. This is an auxiliary port, and this is the other end of that auxiliary. I have no idea what this is for. And also this, I'm guessing this is for the alarm, but one of the wires is just disconnected and frayed right here. So I might just take out the entire system, but right now, what I can do, instead of delving into that, is go down here, and as you can see, the pedals are pretty bare. Since I need this car to be basically hoonable 150%, I need to put pedal pads on here. So I could only get one. I'll probably get one tonight. Probably get another one tonight, but this is the pedal pad that this car asked for. It is a Dorman part. It's the part number is 20705. Link will be in the description below, but it costs about $5. And yeah, it's gonna make a huge difference. So I'm gonna put that on the clutch pedal because I don't want that sliding off. The brake pedal still has a little bit of this kind of black material on there, and it's a little bit more grippy, but this is really, really smooth. And my foot has slid off the clutch before, and in a car like this, you don't want that happening. So I'm just gonna install this, and then I think we're gonna go on to some more mechanical components to make sure that this car is running 100% right.
Seems to follow.
Now, another thing I wanted to pay some attention to was the AC system, particularly the fact that the AC does not work. This is a problem because I am in Arizona and it is about 5,000 degrees outside, but it's a dry heat, don't worry. So that means for me, who tends to sweat just a bit, I need an AC. I need an AC like badly. So here's what happens when I try to turn it on. Okay, I'm going to turn on the car now. And you can hear the air compressor turning, the AC compressor turning off and on. And you can actually see the idle change. What I think is happening is that it's just low on refrigerant. That usually when the AC compressor just kind of cycles in and out, that just means that there is yeah, not enough refrigerant in the system. It could just need a recharge. It could also mean that there's a leak in the system, but this is an old car, and who knows, that it probably is a leak. But if this can make it until I get to LA, that'll be a good thing to do that drive with some working AC. So let's see if we can recharge that system. So you can hear that AC compressor going. Let's see if you can see it. It's right down there. Right. There you go. It's turning off and on right there. All right, so what we gotta do is, this is the low pressure port on the air conditioning system. And we're going to just recharge that while the car is on. I have a gauge, so it'll tell us when we're at a good level. All right, so here is can of 134A, R134A refrigerant, and you can see what this gauge is doing. Overpressurizing, and then when the compressor turns on, it just goes super low, and the compressor turns off. So that means that there's not enough refrigerant. So I'm just going to fill it up, and we'll see what the gauge does. And I'm filling now. Well, the compressor is certainly not shutting off anymore. Still a fair bit to go in the can. Right now it is about, I'd say 90 degrees outside. So we want to be right around that 50 mark. I'd say maybe a little bit more. When you refill your system, you always want to do this to let the refrigerant get a chance to get out. I have no idea how accurate this gauge is, but all right. Here is the moment of truth. Is there cold air? Hey, it's pretty cold. That ain't bad. Oh yeah, that is cold air, ladies and gentlemen. I think we fixed our AC system. I don't know if the pressure is going to stay that way, but this is 100% cold, cool air in the dry Arizona heat. All right, job done. That was pretty easy. I might top it up. I have another can of R134A, so I might just put another can in there, just at least till it gets to the right mark. But right now, this seems to be working just fine. All right, moving on. Yeah, the car is taken apart a bit. I'm not gonna put it back together just yet, just because I might want to take out all this crap for the alarm, and also the radio does not work. So that's, yeah, I mean, it's a long trip, and I'd like some tunes. And the head unit there does look like a working head unit, so it might just be a wiring problem. I'll take a look at it later, maybe not in this episode, but that's not super important right now. What is super important is that this car runs 100%, and this is what I need to replace. This is a fuel filter, and I got a Motorcraft one. It's OEM Ford. It's what Ford uses, and I'm going to replace it because I have no idea when the last time the fuel filter was done. And I have a few mods in store that will absolutely need very, very clean fuel. So, yeah, let's get to that. The fuel filter is located underneath here. It's between the axle and I think the trunk. So I'm going to have to get underneath there. I'm going to have to just take apart, just take out these, there's going to be hose clamps here and right here. And then it should slide out. However, the lines are pressurized right now, and we need to alleviate that. So in order to alleviate all the pressure in the fuel lines, we have to take out the relay, or rather the fuse for the fuel pump. And that is this little guy right here, I believe. Actually, no, it's this one. So it's a 20 amp fuse, and the way I know it is because I have this handy dandy manual, and it says right there, it says fuel pump. 20 amps, and that's our 20 amp fuse. It is a high current fuse, but should be no problem. So you pull this, just put it off to the side somewhere, make sure it doesn't fall, and we are going to run the car until the car dies choking on its own air. Doesn't want to run. That's good. You have to get all the fuel. Yeah, there's no pressure in the line. Another thing you can do to take out some excess pressure is just undo the gas cap. This might be a wives' tale. I'm not sure if this actually does anything, but every time I do a fuel filter or fuel pump or something where I need to work with fuel, I always take the gas cap out just so I know that there's no pressure built into the system. Even though there is a purge valve, sometimes that doesn't work, and sometimes you get hissing coming out of here. In any case, let's get to work on this fuel filter. So I'm going to have to crawl underneath there and just take off some lines. Hopefully some fuel doesn't go in my eye, because that sucks. But, yeah, then I should put in the new fuel filter. Shut up.
Like a shadow dark and cold to the touch. Am I insane not to let go? Oh, go on, just do what you...
That is exactly what I didn't want to happen. Apparently there was still some residual pressure in there, and it just sprayed all the way down my arm, and it made a mess on the floor. Thankfully, gas evaporates really, really quickly, so I don't really have to clean anything up. The only thing it does is stink, and I think it got a little bit on my phone here, and maybe on the camera a bit. So I just need to clean that up, because otherwise I'm going to be smelling gas for the next month. But this fuel filter should come out now. The lines are pretty easy to take off. I love Arizona cars. So these Arizona and California cars, there's zero rust down here. When I mean zero, I mean nothing. There is not a speck of rust on this car, and I think that's going to help come sale time. All right, we are done. Well, we are done with the fuel filter portion anyway. So just putting this fuse back right there. Let us connect the battery terminal again. That's good enough. Let's start the car. All right, and there we go. Yeah. And those are basically the only pressing issues going on. The reason why I'm not really touching the engine bay is, well, here are the reasons. Number one is that I am heavily modifying this car, and some of the stuff that I needed to do those modifications are sort of already done. So the ignition coils, they are new-ish. I mean, they look pretty new. Alternator's new. That's alternator and belts are in good condition. The oil is in great condition, actually. I will do an oil change, maybe. I'm not quite sure. But the spark plugs, they are all brand new. I actually changed them last night off camera. But it's just like any other spark plug install that any other car would have. It's actually pretty easy. The only issue is that here on these Mustang engines, I think Chris from BS for Build, he had a problem with his spark plugs actually leaving a little bit of the plug in the head. So thankfully this is an Arizona car and we don't have a lot of oxidation, or rather Arizona doesn't have oxidation. I don't live here. But yeah, the spark plugs all came out without any incident, and they all went in without any incident, and the car runs fine. The only other thing that I changed off camera was this pressure cap. So the coolant level was getting a little bit low, and I wasn't getting any smoke or anything like that. Nothing to indicate that there would be a blown head gasket. But these are notorious on Fords to basically leak, and then that way all the air all the water basically separates from the glycol in the antifreeze, and then that basically boils off. It evaporates because this doesn't do its job properly. So I got a new one of this. It is a Motorcraft one. I think it's like $10. So yeah, that's what I did with that. Everything else is pretty much on point. It doesn't leak anything. It is a very good example of an honest engine. It is dirty. I mean, you can tell that it's dirty. Maybe I can give it a little clean. But running wise, it is mint. All right, guys, I'm gonna have to cut it off today, but this was a lot of fun. This is my first Mustang. I actually like working on it. It's really, really easy. And today was just getting it to a baseline, getting it to a standard. And next episode, that's going to be sort of pushing the envelope just a little bit further so we can hopefully win that challenge against Chris at BS for Build. But that means that you have to stay tuned, because in the next episode, I will